Our intro music is provided by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com.
With a little imagination, you should be able to envision the torches and hear the screams that echoed through here. Those recorded screams in the back.
You're listening to Night Dreams Radio with Gary Anderson.
Hey, that is me. Boy, I'm sorry we're a little late tonight. Wow, had a little equipment meltdown. One of my sons, who's, well, in his mid-20s, is into, like, mining on the internet. Well, today I went in here about an hour before broadcast time, and all the computers were mining, and one of them caught a virus. So I had to swap a computer out, do whatever we had to do to get on here with Dark Waters. Hey, Dark Waters, are you there?
I am here, my friend. Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you pretty good.
Well, we are ready to rumble then.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm happy to have you on the show. Actually, I was going to go on YouTube here, but I've been so involved trying to get this sucker back up and running, I didn't get a chance to look at some of your horror, stories there on YouTube. How's that doing?
Well, it's doing fantastic. YouTube itself sucks because YouTube is a censoring mechanism, but the Dark Waters brand is doing fantastic. I started about 2.5 years ago, built a substantial audience that I call the Dark Waters family. And then YouTube decided that they were going to change their monetization rules to where horror narration was a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Anything that was spooky, scary, death, suicide, all the stuff that goes along with horror was a problem for YouTube. So I launched IamDarkWaters.com, and things are going great. And I'm enjoying it. I love it. I love what I do. I love the people that I talk to. And I'm excited about having the opportunity to talk to you.
Hey, well, I'm glad to have you on. Yeah, I found, too, I'm into motorcycles, and for a while I had a motorcycle show, and I kind of gave it up because I couldn't do both shows. It just was so much, but I was putting stuff up on YouTube, and it got to the point that, hey, I couldn't make any money off of it.
Yeah, and that's what YouTube ended up doing. YouTube wants people with kittens, or they want LeBron James, or they want music, and that's about it. If you're not within that vein, sports, just lame brain things like kittens and puppies wrestling other puppies and things of that nature, then YouTube does not want it. And now if your music, like a Frank Sinatra song, oh my God, Frank Sinatra makes so much money on YouTube, it's ridiculous. But outside of that, they're pretty much shunning everything else.
Well, they're going to shoot themselves. Even Facebook, that has totally changed. I run a motorcycle club on Facebook, and I've been having nothing but problems with that. But you know what? Running my show, running any promos, even, because I have my own personal thing on Facebook, and then I have one for the network, and then I have one for the show. And if I start posting from my personal onto the show, the next thing I know, I'm like in a Facebook jail, for like 10 to 14 days. And it's just ridiculous. But the funny thing is, like on the business one for the station, if I promote, like who's going to be on the show, they want money now.
Yeah, they want money for you to access your audience. So if you have 10 to 20,000 people who religiously view your Facebook page, they'll kind of dumb that number down to 3,000 to 5,000. And if you promote to them, they'll give you access to your 20,000. Trust me, I know it very well. How long are you in like a motorbike club? How long have you been riding motorbikes?
Oh, I've been on motorcycles for 46 years.
Wow.
Yeah, long time.
That's amazing.
Only crashed one time, and that was last September, and I'm still kind of recovering from it. But the funny thing is, the day I crashed, after all those years never crashing, I met another old timer. Me and my wife were out for a ride. We stopped in a cafe, and here's another old biker, right? And he was telling me, well, how many times he crashed. And he looked at me and he goes, well, how many times you crashed? I go, I have never crashed. He goes, well, how many miles do you ride a year? And I go, I said, oh, maybe 16 to 18,000. And he goes, you never crashed. A half an hour later, I was going to the Harley dealership to buy chrome for the bike. Guess what? I crashed.
Yeah, that's some bad juju he gave you, my friend. That's some
yeah.
real bad juju. You know, and that reminds me of a story. I ended up talking to a gentleman who was a part of a motorbikers club or a biking club. And I'm not going to say the name of the club because they're not necessarily the best guys in the world. But he ended up having a Bigfoot encounter because of some of the activities that his biking club would do. And make a long story short, when he first went to join the club, he had to have a certain amount of money because he needed to buy his bike, and they had to have Harleys. And not only did he have to have the Harleys, he had to pay a fee, which was a membership fee, which was, once he told me about it, it was an astronomical fee.
Oh, wow.
And so he did some nefarious things that involved some dirty cops, right? He ends up getting the money and joining the club. But right after he did this job to get the money, some of those cops ended up getting murdered. Now, I'm going to stop right there and pause because I have a rule when it comes to, like, street stuff and stuff like that. I don't give too much information because it's called dry snitching, and I don't snitch. But I'll say some of those dirty cops that he went and dealt with ended up getting murdered. He didn't hurt anybody. He didn't harm anybody. But a week or two after he did it, they ended up getting murdered. So, of course, the police cracked down looking for the murder of cops. And if you ever know anything about police officers and just the tenacity that they have when they lose one of their own, they don't care if the guy was dirty or if he was clean. You know, you murdered a cop or somebody murdered a cop, they're looking for him. He ends up having to lay low, and he goes to this cabin in the woods all alone by himself. And so he's there for like 2 months. The first month he's there, everything is cool. He checks back in with his friends, and they're like, yeah, you know, they're looking for you, and some of the other bikers are talking, and your name came up, bada bing, bada boom. You need to, like, just lay low. Chill. Don't come out.
Yeah.
He runs out of supplies, goes into town, gets the supplies, comes back, and on his way back, he parks his bike, goes back into the little cabin, and he sees something moving past the window. And he's thinking, okay, well, they found me. Either, you know, the police found me or somebody found me. So he sneaks out of the back door and tries to look around. And he sees what he thinks is a guy standing in a tree line not too far away. And so he's going to sneak up on him. He's like, okay, they're spying on me. I'm going to find out what's going on. Well, he sneaks up from the backside and gets to this area. And what he told me is, he's like, yo, Jay, he's like, you know, you're not going to believe this, but it was a Sasquatch. And I was like, Sasquatch? He's like, really? I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, it was a Sasquatch. And he's like, it's taking a leak. And he's like, this thing is holding a aerosol spray can in his hand and taking a piss. I say, well, what did you think? He's like, bro, I'm standing there looking at this and, like, freaking out because I don't know what I'm seeing. And it looks up, sees him, because he steps on some leaves. And he makes a little bit of noise. It looks up and sees him, and it turns around and it walks off. But he can't leave. He literally cannot go anywhere where he can be seen because, I mean, he's that hot. You know, anybody who's listening to me who knows about some real street stuff, when you get hot, you really get hot. Like,
yeah, you can fry
gotta lay low.
yes.
And so he's pretty much stranded there. And over the next couple of days, he has them surrounding him in the house, has them walking on the roof. All kinds of crazy stuff. So finally, it gets to the point that where he gets uncomfortable. And he's telling me the story. I'm like, bro, you know, this sounds like something I may have seen on Sci-Fi. And he gets angry. And this is one of the things that people don't know about, you know, when I assess the stories and get stories from people, I intentionally kind of aggravate people sometimes just to see their response, right? So I start, like, poking at them, you know, like, this sounds like something on Sci-Fi. And I'm not using real friendly language. in real, kosher language. Because this guy's really, 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 one of those alternative type personalities. He's a tough guy. And so I'm just talking like I would talk to any one of my friends that's in that world. And I'm like, I don't believe this. You sitting here playing. He's like, look, I'm not lying to you. And if I was going to call you to lie to you, why would I go through all this trouble? You know what I'm saying? He's like, you can call people and they'll verify and vouch for me. So he gives me a couple of numbers or whatever. I call people to verify that, he's not lying. And I'm like, okay, so what happened next? And he's like, listen, I'm in there. These things keep on surrounding the house and they keep on kind of showing themselves to me. Or it's really not a house, it's more of a cabin.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, they keep showing themselves to me. So I get to the point where I'm uncomfortable and I decide I'm going to go to Houston. So he ends up leaving. And while he's driving away down this little dirt road to get to the highway, he ends up looking through the mirror and he sees not only one where he parked his vehicle, like right where he parked his vehicle, there's one standing there, like literally where he got in the driver's side door. There's another one on the side of the house, and there's a smaller one on the roof. And so he was surrounded by Sasquatches or Bigfoot. And I said, well, bro, how did that make you feel? He was like, man, I don't know why they didn't come in the house and do me anything. I felt like they just wanted me to leave, so I left. And he said that was the best thing I could do. Now, he ends up getting to Houston and goes to one of the strip clubs, and there's a raid at the strip club. And he ends up getting caught up in that raid. And then he had to do some time and going to jail for a little while. But it wasn't for the incident with the police. It was just for some other stuff that he had some warrants for. But it's crazy the type of calls that I get for the paranormal. It ranges from like Bigfoot to Dogman to Black-Eyed Kids to people riding in a car down a lonely highway. And there's a woman that appears in their backseat. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. The type of calls that I get, man. I love doing this still, Gary. I tell you, I love it because no other profession can you be in that you would just meet such a diverse group of people. You know what I'm saying? Like I talk to people from all over the world, and it has really changed my life because of the simple fact that I get to talk to people and I get to build relationships with people all over the world. And what I've discovered is that we're all the same. You turn on the news and they got all this racist this person's dad, this Republican, this Democrat. But when you get to the bottom of it, man, we're all the same. We want the same things. We want a little bit of money. We want a little bit of success. We want a little bit of sex. We want a good, happy family. We all want the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And I love this. I love doing this.
Well, so do I. I mean, that's why I'm doing this, I mean, it's... it's kind of been in my blood. I mean, I started out many years ago in broadcasting, commercial broadcasting, working in radio stations as a DJ and then, doing talk shows. And then all of a sudden I met the wrong woman and I ended up getting a job, because she wanted something more dependable than being a broadcaster. Job-wise is not very secure. Right. So I got out of it for a long time, but, I talked to Art Bell about 8 months ago, and he goes, hey, if you can ride that Harley, you can go back into broadcasting, and that's exactly what I did.
And, it's sad what happened to Art. One of my bucket list things was to talk to Art and just at least hold a conversation with him. So, may his soul rest in peace, and to my girl, Heather Wade, and Heather's such a sweetheart. I'm always praying. I'm praying for her strength more now than ever, but I always pray for Heather because she's such a sweetheart. Us losing Art is like basketball losing Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? He's all Michael Jordan. So that's a terrible thing.
Yeah, and what was really funny? I talked to him about a month ago, just about a couple things. He called me